Sam, it's just good because Michigan killed Ohio State. It was a great game. I knew you. I was thinking of you all Saturday because I was like, "Oh, Sam's gonna be happy." I'm wondering if USC can move up in the rankings. It'd be nice to see USC and Michigan in the final. That would be kind of cool. Good morning, Holly. Sorry, I'm a little late. Nature called. Just as I sat down, I was like, "Can I sit 2 hours?" And yeah, I better go. So, yeah. Hey, Rob, good to see you. Bob, I'm sorry, Bob. Peroni's here. Great day, happy day. Um, I don't think we have any leftover turkey. I think it was just Beth and I after Thanksgiving. We had 20 for Thanksgiving, but Friday and Saturday it was just the two of us, and that's all we had for. That's all we had uh, for dinner and lunch those 2 days. So we pretty much went through all the stuffing. I think we have some stuffing left, maybe some green bean casseroles, typical kind of stuff. Yep. USC is going to be in the Big Ten pretty soon. That's going to be crazy. They'll play each other every year. Dennis had a work meeting. Okay, we're going to cancel then. I'm just kidding. What do I have here? Yeah, also, I need to check. I'm sure that YouTube, and I apologize for this. I'm not sure when that happens, when YouTube adds all those ads, but I'm going to go to 2 weeks. Oh, you know what? I may have gotten to that one. That was 2 weeks ago. Let me just see. Monetization, manage mid rolls. Oh no, gosh darn it, they put a billion ads in there. Okay, I'm taking all the ads out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anyone who went back and watched the last live stream. It had a million. Now I'm going to put one. I'm putting ad breaks in. Here's one. I'm not watching where I put it. I'm just putting 30 minutes, another 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour 30, and then 2 hours. That's not too much to ask, and it helps bring in a little bit of revenue. Let's see, analytics. Let's see how much. Well, now, that's interesting. Oh, probably because somebody gave me money. That's probably what it was. I'm like, it made $8. That's a lot for one of the live stream videos. Just to show you that I don't make a lot of money on these things. So any financial remuneration, is that the right term? Is appreciated. I got my coffee. You had blueberry pie. Nice. Yeah, Peroni's in the house. Thank you, Bruce, for all the business, taking care of the business. Elvis Presley's motto. Who else here? Sorry, did I miss anybody? No. Okay. We've only got 15 people on so far, so we'll hang out for just a second. We're gonna talk about dynamics and strumming, and I'm using a heavy pick. Kind of hard to change picks in the middle of a song. Done it, but it's not optimal. So when it comes to um, dynamics, you're going to have to work with whatever you have, whatever you're playing with from the beginning of the songs. it was crazy. Yeah, the Michigan Ohio State game. It's a big deal. That's a big deal. I mean, and in fact, Michigan, I think it said they only won once since 2000 in Ohio at the stadium at Ohio State Stadium. So that was pretty. Oftentimes in these big stadiums, it's the home team has the huge advantage. Hey, Kathleen, on my way to work. Will this be? Yes, you can watch this later. Hopefully, it won't have a billion ads in it. I monetize these videos, but YouTube will add a bunch of ads. I go in after they've done that when I remember and delete all the ads. And I'll put one every 30 minutes because I usually go about 2 hours. Although Beth took her car in, and if I have to go pick her up, but she knows I'm doing my live stream, so she'll probably hold off. Hopefully, thank you, Bruce. Hopefully, oh yeah, that's my handle, isn't it? Tom Strahle. They changed it from T Strahle to Tom Strahle, which makes sense. Oh, last time they won it was 2000. Okay, in clubs, yeah. And they play every year, so that's 10 games in a row they've lost in Columbus. So that's one of the most look forward to games generally. But it's a pretty rare in the Big Ten to have the number two playing the number three this late in the season. So that was a pretty big deal. I'm sure the ratings were great. Oh, most watched college football game in a year. Okay. Oh, no. I can't watch soccer. It's just boring. I'm sorry to all my European and friends. Yeah, I can't. Maybe if I understood the game better, but it would take me too long. Too much. I'd have to watch way too much soccer to understand it. Now I like Ted Lasso. That's great. That's the extent of my soccer knowledge. Well, and there's another show that's my daughter really liked. I think it's on Hulu. Where Ryan Reynolds and a friend of his, the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they buy like a fourth tier or third tier soccer team in England, and it's about that. It's kind of cute. I forgot about it. We started watching, I think, the first episode or two, and then just kind of plumb forgot about it. I forget what it's called, but it's cute. No, I didn't say. I didn't. No, sorry about that, Joseph. No, I didn't send you. I don't. I don't think. Do a screen grab if you can. Um, Now, because I don't spend enough time on my Facebook page. In fact, I even took the link out of my. Because I really don't post enough. Let me just see. Occasionally see people commenting here. Let's see. So it's just so complex. I can't figure out where stuff is. It's not the same as your personal Facebook page. So trying to find. Um, oh, did you like? I did 2 videos. I released 2 videos in 1 week. That's pretty crazy, right? Let me see, Joseph. I know it. We've no. See, that's where is. See, I can't even find the messages. It's like, where are the messages on this? Yeah, yeah, and I don't get drunk, so so. Well, let's see. No. Oh wait, this is why I'm not. I'm in the wrong. Okay, let me change. No, dang it. They really make it way too complex. Okay, here. I was viewing it from the wrong profile. Um, still, okay, I'm viewing it from that profile, but I still don't see where the messages are. So ridiculous. Oh, here, maybe here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I see no messages from me to you. In fact, I don't even see any messages from you on my. It's Pete that constantly messages me. Oh, wait. Huh. Oh, wait, that is you. But I don't see any questions from me, so they didn't. Yeah, okay, Joe. So Pete, yeah, you send me a lot of message. Oh, that's right, that is you. For what? For some reason, I get you, and so you go by Pete there. Um, but yeah, I didn't. Huh? Yeah, that's weird. Let's see what else is here. Oh. um, anyway, yeah, maybe I'll delete that account, but I've not gotten any other people saying that there was some kind of weird stuff going on. But I hate, yeah, because I hate that kind of stuff. I really don't interact very much. So if you're getting a text from me, it's probably not me. So, okay, sorry for this. Diane is in the house. Um, yeah, so last week was just a busy week. Had a lot of things going on, and of course with family and with Thanksgiving and everything. So so I just couldn't. I had a meeting scheduled for Monday that I had to take because it was a short week and I couldn't move it. So that was what was happening on Monday morning. Do I look as pink to you as I do to me? No, it doesn't look as pink on that window. Okay. So what I want to talk about is strumming dynamics, as you can see down there in the bottom right-hand corner, bottom left-hand corner, sorry. Um, and just some tricks, some tools you can use to kind of create some dynamics in your playing. Now, sometimes I'm asked, and sometimes I'm not asked, but sometimes I'm asked, what's the most important thing to know on the guitar? And I break it up into two camps. You've heard me say this probably 15 times. Electric guitar players, I think one of the first things you should learn, or one of the best things to know, is know your fretboard. I mean, that's true for acoustic players too, but we're talking about the number one thing. The number one most useful thing for electric players is learning that fretboard. And what that will do is that'll allow you to go, okay, what chord is this? You can play a chord, you can be learning a song, and you want to know, well, I don't know what chord this is. Well, if you know a little bit of theory and you know this is a C sharp, a G sharp, and a C sharp, you would know this is a C sharp 5 chord, or C sharp note third, and B5 and A5 or A major. But you would start to see the mysteries of music, and the guitar fretboard would start to unravel if you know all the names of all the notes on your fretboard, right? And that's for electric players. For acoustic players, I, I say learn as many grooves as you can, because too many people, when they play songs or they're writing songs or they're interpreting other people's songs, they do the same. it gets a little old, and so I tell acoustic guitar players to try to learn as many grooves, and that's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about the free range groove. We've talked about, and we haven't talked about this time around, but we talked about the hip hop, but we haven't talked about 6/8 grooves. But I'm gonna keep it in 4/4 for now. But one of the things that you can do to make your playing more interesting and more diverse, and in my head, I'm envisioning you sitting down in a coffee shop and playing an hour set with a friend. Whether you're playing and they're singing, or you're both playing and singing, or even if it's by yourself playing and singing, you don't want the music to be flatlining. You don't want the dynamics to be flatlining. You don't want the strum grooves here. You know, I got a pie chart here, and 100% of the grooves are the same groove. You may even want to kind of use a capo and move around, so you're kind of playing in different keys, so you're not playing every song in the same key. All right, and that's a video I could do at some point. It's like, is there a perfect key for you to sing in? The answer is no for everyone. The key has very little to do with the range of the song, and the notes in the song. The relationship to the key are the key. So I may do a video. I may do a freestanding, like an uploaded video for that, if I can formulate a way to explain it. But like one song in C could be really easy for you to sing because it goes C to C. And that's like, okay, that C to C, that fits in my range. But that's how the melody was written in that song. Another song could also be in C, could be G to G, and you're just not going to be able to hit that. You're either not going to be able to knock it down an octave because you don't want to sing low, you don't want to sing down that low, or you don't want to sing high when you get up to that high note. You know, that's the melody. You know, you're going to be screaming, and so it has nothing to do with the key. Like, oh, that's the best key for me to sing in. It's irrelevant. It's where the melody falls in the key. Is the melody, and you can look at a melody, and this is not the subject that I want to talk about today, but you can look at any melody on a piece of paper in a chart and look at search and destroy, seek and destroy the lowest note in the song and the highest note, and that's the range of the song. So then you put it on the guitar and you go, oh, okay, cool, it's C to C, perfect. I would, D or G were good keys for me, because if a song was D to D in D, root to root, then I would put it in D. If it was fifth to fifth, I would put it in G. So for me, that was just pretty easy. So let's see. Oh, hey, Steve Sparks, what's going on? Bob Schumann. The Buckeyes are better than they. We're turning into a football blog. I could do a whole video series on why I don't like soccer. Well, 0-0-0-0. Okay, 2 games. If this was going to ignite, international football fever in America, boy, did it fail. Oh, they show USC number 4. Yeah, I think USC probably, they could have been pretty easily undefeated. Michigan and Georgia are the only 2 major teams still undefeated, right? So they're going to be 1 and 2. I don't think Georgia's. Did Michigan move up to 1, or did they stay at 2? Or were they at 3? I can't remember. But yeah, they're at least at 2. Catherine is joining for just a minute. All strumming acoustic song. Oh yeah, Vietnam era, Eve of Destruction. Yep, and Universal Soldier. Yeah, Vietnam song by Country Joe and the Fish. Yeah, all strumming songs. And so now the dynamic thing is interesting, because I don't see. Brad here, but I don't know if you're lurking, Brad, but I was at Brad's house the other night. We were having a jam with like a million guitar players. There's kind of no dynamics in that scenario. You're not really gonna get quieter or loud. You just play loud as you can because you got 10 guitar players playing at the same time, acoustic guitar for the most part. Or you got a bass player in the room and it's like, but the bass takes over everything if they're too loud. There are certain scenarios where you're just going to have to bang it out, but that's not the jam in the house scenario. Is maybe your reality, but ultimately, the goal would be to perform or to get up in front of people or play at church. And there are some different ways to view the acoustic guitar, okay? I like in a band setting with a drummer, an electric guitar, keyboards, bass, all of that. The acoustic guitar player, I call it a harmonic shaker. Perfect example is a song, we did at church the other day. I was playing acoustic, and to be completely honest, I was pretty much flatlined all the way through the whole song. And the song started with me. Probably the drummer was playing a little hi-hat or something, but the song would start with me. Maybe it was like. No worries, T. So he's here. Brad's here. So when I'm playing with a band, all right. Typically, the acoustic guitar, if I'm picking up the acoustic guitar, it's because at church, it's because the song on the record started with acoustic. Now, in the recording, maybe they can keep the acoustic on the top of the mix so that you can always hear the acoustic. But in a church setting or in a band setting, once the band comes in, that acoustic guitar goes from being an acoustic guitar to what I call a harmonic shaker. You will probably only notice it if I'm playing like a wrong chord. So if the band's playing an A and I'm playing a G, there's going to be like this weird harmonic rub that's happening that you might not quite hear. The sound man's, probably got the guitar sitting in the mix where you can hear it fine when the band breaks down. Because, in my opinion, worship songs in churches, they go up and down dynamically too much. They break down and build back up and break down. And like I said, music is manipulation. There's no difference. Every style of music is all about harmonic manipulation, rhythmic manipulation, dynamic manipulation. You're trying to instill some kind of emotion in the listener. And there's no different church music and heavy metal music or classical music and country music. It doesn't really matter. They're all trying to create something. So, yeah, thanks, Bruce. And so, hey, Lena. And so, I'm going to pretty much flatline how I'm playing through a song with a band so that when the band breaks down, I'm still there. I'm not going to get quieter in that moment. I'm going to play, And then the band comes in, the drums come in, everything. You're pretty much not hearing that. You might be hearing that. That's where the shaker part comes in. I said the acoustic guitar becomes a harmonic shaker in those scenarios. But if I were to kind of, when the band drops out, if I were to go, now the sound man's got to kind of boost me in the mix, and it's not going to be the best sound. It really, the whole point is that of the acoustic guitar at the beginning of a song, and maybe even later in a song when it breaks down, is that it's driving things along. And to be honest, you really want to give those singers that you're accompanying some confidence. And if you're kind of going, you need to be solid. So by talking about strumming dynamics, I'm giving you an example of where there generally are no dynamics. Oh, can you see the? you see back here? Oh man, I'm so mad about this. And I didn't hear this happen, but I'm always trying to find a bunch of different new instruments, and I'm working on this game that a lot of the game takes place in Mexico. So I was picking up some instruments from Mexico, and a requinto, KNTO, is basically a half-size classical or nylon guitar. So I went on the hunt for one of these. It's a pretty common instrument in a lot of different genres of Latin music, Mexican music in particular. And I found this one on Reverb and I ordered it. And immediately, as soon as I got it, I was tuning it and one of the tuning pegs broke, right? Well, I had a classical tuning pegs, so I put a set on one side and then I was tuning the other side and they broke. I'm like, wow, this is the crappiest. You know, it's a Cordova. I'm not ashamed. I'm not going to hold back on this. So I ended up replacing both sides of the tuning pegs on this essentially because the headstock is standard classical. I think I had to make a slight modulation or God bless you, Lena. Thank you. A slight modification to it, but then I walk by it and I look at it and the bridge came off. So, in my personal opinion, look at that. That's ridiculous, right? And it's supposed to be tuned up a fourth. So I had it tuned up, and so I'm actually I will get this. It's supposed to go this way. I will get this fixed. I think I have my guitar tech, and I'll have him go ahead and bolt it on, because it doesn't. You know, when I'm playing for. I'm not going to do a Mexican, you know, norteña record for the most part. I'm going to be playing on video games or movies, and so you don't need to necessarily. I would love to have the best sounding requinto in the world, but I don't need to spend that kind of money. But isn't that ridiculous? It's just. And so I don't remember what I spent on this, but obviously it was too much. See, I had to replace these tuning heads. See, these are actually really decent acoustic tuning heads, and if he can't fix this, then I'll take those tuning machines off and just throw this in the trash. But yeah, so it's a half-size classical guitar, so it's made for playing really high stuff, which is actually kind of cool, and I was really looking forward to it. But yeah, didn't make it. And those were requinto strings, and it was tuned the way it was supposed to be tuned. So it wasn't anything unusual. It should have been fine. But I'm Cordoba instrument. I will never buy another Cordoba instrument as long as I live. And I'm on the hunt for another requinto. So if I can't get that one fixed, I've been trying to find. You know, I'm like, should I get a better one? But I really hate to spend $1,200 on something that I may not use very much. But, you know, in a video game, if I'm playing, you know, there's explosions or sounds or whatever, you know, and it's usually just an accompaniment instrument. It's usually not solo. Cordoba. Nah. Yeah, I don't care. I hope I pronounce it wrong. Yeah, I do not want to give them any props. So there are times where dynamically, you are going to want a flat line. You know, in that big band setting, playing with a full band, and you're playing acoustic, you want to be there for those where the band drops out. You know, sometimes there's a section where it says no drums, and so you know, but that doesn't mean you stop. That just means the drummer's not playing. Yeah, Alex has my Yamaha classical. The one I have, and actually he's bought one now, the same as mine, the Asturias, which I really like. I think it sounds great. I mean, I'd love to spend 20 grand on a nice classical guitar, but you can't really justify it. I have my flamenco. Flamenco's right there. That's a Ramirez. That one's a nice one. Sounds great. Works great. Serves my purpose. I don't expect the bridge to come off of that thing. But I don't want to spend $2 grand on a Ramirez requinto. I don't even think they make one. So there's different ways that we can be dynamic with the acoustic guitar. Okay, if we just take a standard E chord, right, and we're like, this is the hip hop groove, but I don't mean to. It's not easy. not an easy groove to play. We worked on it a few weeks ago. It has kind of built-in dynamics, but I can make it quieter if I just mute, like. So what I'm doing is I'm actually putting this part of my hand, you can see that, the side of my hand, side of my palm, on the strings. Now not too far up, because then you get no pitch. Okay, hear that? So I'm just right up against the bridge, just kind of, you know. And that's kind of a cool thing to be able to do. And now I'm also moderating my strum, meaning I'm not strumming as many strings. Like with this standard folk groove, I'm hitting all 6 strings on the E chord. But so there's 2 tricks. One is muting, 3. Well, 2 in this I'm using in this example. Muting, and I'm playing less strings. You play less strings, you're going to get quieter. See, listen. Yeah, playing low strings and high strings. Or I could just play high strings. So if I wanted to start out quiet, I might do that. Basically aiming for the top 3 or 4 strings. Same groove. And then you add those 2 lower strings in and it suddenly starts getting a much bigger sound and it gets louder. That's dynamics. That's when things go quiet to soft, loud or soft, loud to soft, you know, back and forth. Kind of like how I'm talking right now. No, just kidding. Okay. So, but by muting, I'm also kind of limiting. It's by default. It really almost you can't help yourself. You got E7, E minor 7, E major 7, or this is a hard one. Get that D and the D sharp and the E rub, or you can do this one or this one. But yeah, so and again, like I said, I'm envisioning you kind of accompanying yourself. You want to make songs interesting. If you're in a coffee shop and you're playing a song, you kind of want to make it interesting. Another way you can create dynamics or a breakdown moment, all right, and I'm going to talk more about the muting thing, okay, I'm going to go back to that, is to hit what I would call whole notes or footballs. And the reason they're called footballs is because whole notes look like eggs or footballs. I've never heard anybody call them eggs. Footballs, what else have they called? I have whole notes, hits maybe. But basically, so you got a groove, say you're doing something like, I'm doing maybe, I could do the free range groove. So I'm just going to take this E power shape and move it down. Okay, so I'm playing E and then C sharp minor 7 to B sus to A2. It's going to be like. See that? Now, what that does is, for one thing, it's a lot less busy, so a lot less attention by the listeners paid to your right hand and the strumming and the intensity and all that, and it's going to be focused more on your vocals. So you want to make sure you're ready to sing at that moment, or whoever you're accompanying is ready for that breakdown, because they're going to feel kind of naked at that moment. So you want to make sure you rehearse it that way. But yeah, okay. So now, and maybe I want to bring it back in slowly. Maybe eighth notes like this. Getting a little harder, hit more strings. I was hitting 8 notes with just a couple strings, now I'm hitting them all. Now back to the groove. I would call that maybe something like uh, um, intensity dynamics. All right, I might not be hitting the strings any less um, hard. I may just be hitting more of them, hitting them more often. So I went from playing football, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then playing eighth notes kind of short. I could even mute, right? Sounds like a Cars tune. Now unmuted, same thing. Now hit all the strings unmuted. Still eighth notes. 1, 2, here we go. Kick it in. And so that's why you can, just by changing the way you're strumming it, changing the strumming patterns, you can, as long as they're related to each other. Like I don't think I would go from, a hip hop groove to the free range groove. Okay, so the hip hop groove would be, because that's the feel of the song. Totally do it, but those are two different kind of emotions. Again, we're manipulating the listener, and this has a certain, you're taking them to a certain place with this kind of feel, and you're taking them to a different place with this kind of feel, and that gets into the area of arranging or songwriting. Okay, because now I'm talking about, okay, well, what's the lyric about? This might be more likely a love song. I don't know. I can't really imagine. I'm trying to think of something like that. But and then this more open thing might be more something a little bit more adventuresome. So of course, love can be an adventure. I'm not saying it's not. Holly, don't take. No, just kidding. Holly never takes me to task. I'm glad that this is helpful information. And so the muting thing, one of the keys you want to do, and again, I'm big on playing along with drum machines, rather than somebody just gave me a comment because I mentioned it in my 7 more tips for older beginners. That I prefer to play, jam, and practice with a drum machine. It's just more fun than a click or a metronome. And it makes it, for one thing, it makes it more fun, but it also is more like the real experience you're ultimately going to have. If you're going to if your goal is to play with a band, then love could be an adventure. Yeah, I don't know if that's a great saying, but love should be an adventure. My wife and I have been on an adventure for 35 years. We're shooting for 35 more. I don't know. How old will I be in 35 years? 96? I don't know. You think I could do this? I don't know. Oh, man. Beth and I have been cold plunging at night. We've been getting in the pool at night, and I'll tell you what, it's invigorating. It's funny because right before, it's like, oh, okay, we should probably do the cold plunge. And like, oh, yeah, we probably should. And it's this fear and loathing. And then you get out of the pool and you're fearless. You feel like you can conquer the world. It's so funny. So we're like under, not a head under, but to the neck, to shoulders. 53 years, Bob. Congratulations. That's awesome. But it literally takes my breath away. It's 50 degrees. It's not like an ice plunge. It's not that cold like the football players do. And sadly, as we get closer to summer, this is going to warm up. We're not going to be doing an 85 degree. That's not a cold plunge. So I don't know what we're going to do. If we're seeing real benefits from it, Beth is sleeping better. She says she's sleeping much better through the night, which is good. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think probably for me, the best benefit at this point is just exercising my willpower. So 38 for you, AJ. Awesome. Okay, so, but the muting thing, like I said, you're going to want to keep your hand up against the bridge. You hear that? No pitch. So if you want a clicky sound, yeah, then mute up here. But here's where you can hear the pitch. But you can just practice that. You can even practice it with open strings if you don't want to. You can do up and down strokes like a fast 16th. All the while trying to keep that side of your palm on the strings, and that gives you, you know. And again, what's the saying? If you want to get someone's attention, whisper, right? That's kind of what you're doing with dynamics. You're kind of, especially if you start out a song, you know, you have this big banger, and you know. Everybody's going to be like, oh, what's the song about? And you say, I like ketchup, but I don't like catsup. And they're like, wow, this is intense. It's a great song. I'm intensely listening to this song. And then when you get to, I like ketchup, but I don't like catsup. So, you know, it's, sorry. I'm in a goofy mood. Goofy mood. Hoping that Beth's car isn't too expensive to repair. So we want to get her a new car, but it's like getting a new car right now is kind of tough. Brad knows. We're getting ready to order something, and it's going to take 3 to 6 months to get the car. So we're trying to keep this car running for a little longer. I want to buy her a new car. And I really want to buy something from my friend, who Brad, from his son. And but at the same time, I think it behooves us to kind of keep this thing going, the Volvo going as long as we can. And so I spent $700 on it to get rid of a coolant leak, and then it was still leaking. There's no leak under the car, can't see a leak anywhere, but the warning light comes on, and sure enough, if you look at the thing, it's gone underneath the minimum, and so we have to fill up. So it doesn't even take that much coolant to fill it up. So she took it this morning back to the dealer, or not to the dealership, to our beloved mechanic in Pasadena, and hopefully they can find it. You know, I think what happened, they did the pressure test, but they didn't do the pressure test after they did the job. You know, as you think you find it, and so you go, oh, we got it. That was where the leak was. So, I shouldn't be in a good mood. I hate having cars at the dealership, at the repair place. I hate owning cars in general. If I could Uber everywhere, I totally would. But if Beth's car is in the shop all week, then she's going to have to take my car. And I've got work to do this week that I'm going to need to either Uber to or rent a car for the week. So it's just the reality of life. At one point, when the kids were just all at the right age, I think I owned 5 cars. I think I was paying insurance on 5 cars. Like, no. So, and Brad, I hope I can make. It always takes forever to buy a car, and I'm like, how come I can't just show up, write a check for the full amount, and then walk away with a car? It just takes forever, and I don't want anything, extra. We want the most basic. She wants a hybrid, so, but we're also looking at Teslas. Just so you know, full disclosure there, Brad. I'm not sure about Tesla. The thing about Teslas, I can get one now. They have them at the store. They have the exact model I want right now if I want to go and buy one. So, It sounds like a head gasket, but we're not. There's no white smoke. There's no hesitation in starting. I've had head gasket issues before. They would have told me if it was a head gasket. My mechanic's like the most honest guy, and he wouldn't have put $700. We wouldn't have put $700 in a head gasket. And it's still, I don't know if it's worth repairing. Head gasket job is probably going to be about $2,500, I would guess, maybe more, maybe $3,500. So at that point, I don't know. But if you can't get a car for 6 months, and we're down to one car. So that's a pain. So yeah, so dynamics. And then another thing that creates dynamics in playing, like if I play a Z chord, if I strum 6 strings, it's going to be loud. If I strum the bottom 3 and the top 3, it's going to be softer. So if I'm going, so one way you can make that softer is you can aim for the bottom strings and the top strings. And then you can just, it's almost like you're trying to hit 2 strings and 2 strings, 2 strings, 2 strings, 3 strings, 3 strings, 3 strings, 4 strings, 4 strings, 4 strings. You don't need to be super intentional about it. Not like, okay, oh shoot, I hit 5 strings, or oh dang it, I only hit 3 strings. No, it doesn't, nothing like that. You just kind of increase the attack amount. And then it's simply just hitting the strings is hard. You can also create dynamics, and that's something you want to practice. All right, you could even have a little VU meter sitting in front of you. Like I've got the meter right here at the bottom of my OBS software. Okay, and so I can see when I'm strumming here, I'm in the red. Now I'm in the yellow. Now I'm in the green. You can use tools like that to test or to check your dynamics that way too. So, you know, use the tools at your disposal. Probably can get something for your phone that does that exact thing. A VU meter or a decibel reader, and you can read your decibels and see how loud you can get. See if you get to 120 decibels. What's a jet engine? 140 or something? Now, if you're playing through a pickup, it's a little different. It's a weirder thing because it almost feels like no matter there's a lot less dynamics through a pickup. All right, so I'm talking kind of the dynamics that I'm giving you the examples of are going to be best heard in a small setting, in a recording setting, or if you're being mic'd. So those 3 scenarios would be the best place to really notice and utilize dynamics in your playing. So if you're accompanying a singer, you know, and you want to the singer's singing, and now it's like an instrumental chorus. That's your moment to shine. You can dig in a little harder. You can start to do some embellishments on the chords to make them interesting. We're going to talk about that in a future video. I may actually just do a video on that. Or I could do a series of videos like embellishments over the G chord. Where do some things... I could do something on videos on those. Yeah, so I dropped a video, what was it, last Sunday? The Dadgad one. And I almost have, hey, Sam, yeah, and there's stuff you can put in the cooling system that will also do temporary stuff, but I don't want to be sending my wife to work every day with a, you know, it's a 20-minute drive. I don't want to be, the 90 is really nice. It's a little out of my price range. Yeah, so before, when you guys were tipping me, that was for Emma's wedding. That's behind us now. So now it's for Beth's head gasket. But the uh, see, have always come natural to you. Oh, that's good. Yeah, and like I said, having a bunch of variations of different feels and grooves and stuff like that. And my number one source of inspiration for that is drum grooves. And so, like I said, you can listen to a drum groove and come up with a pattern, come up with, um, a strumming idea based on that. Let's see what I have. And you know, some songs might be. Wait, that wasn't. What the heck? What the? What the heck? I don't know what. I don't know what I just did. That's so weird. Okay. Well. Oh. What is this? Oh, this was a demo or something. Oh, this is for Austin. Yeah, that's right. So like I'll drop in a drum groove here. All right. A drummer. Let's see. Let's not do hip hop. Let's do R&B, I guess. Um, let's see. Neo soul. Okay, it's called Play the Game. I don't even know what this sounds like. Okay, I'm just gonna play it. Um, oh, and of course, my audio is not working. Isn't that hilarious? I'm not going to reboot my computer, so never mind on this. Um, wait, let me see. Did I? Yeah, it's not working. I don't know why it does that. Let me quit. Don't save. You guys can hear me though, obviously. Don't want to quit that. What happens if I quit Apogee? Or if I change this? Yeah, see that pops. And then back to 48. All right. Let's see. Do I have questions here? Sounds like, oh, head gasket. If it looks like butter on a stick. Oh, that stick, it's a head gasket. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, the drum machine thing is definitely a good way to go. I don't know. We'll see if I can get it up and running. Oh, Brad, God bless you. Head gasket fund. I need a head gasket song. What strumming groove would be for a head gasket song? Probably blues. I need a new head gasket. Actually, I don't. My wife does. Yeah. So yeah, that's the head gasket song. Oh gosh. Let's see if I can. I'll try reopening Logic and see what happens. I can tell right away if it's not going to work. But so a drum groove can kind of inspire. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Nope, not working. All right. I'm not going to waste any more time on it. Head gasket blues. Burr, 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 burr. But yeah. So notice, I use a different pick here, but notice, here's a perfect example of dynamics. I'm just hitting 2 strings, and I'm muting, and I'm swinging. So I'm louder on the lick. so what I'm doing there, just so you know, if you're like, how did he do that? So I'm just playing a power chord here, A at the 5th fret and E at the 7th fret of the bottom 2 strings. And I'm reaching out with my pinky, so I'm using my 3rd finger on the A. Some people will use their 2nd finger. But to me, I don't necessarily have a problem reaching out. So you're adding a 6th. This is the root, this is the 5th, this is the 6th. So it's kind of a 6/5 suspension. Very common. It's almost as common as the 4/3 suspension. Okay, and that's basically how you do the classic blues guitar riff, or even rockin'. Right? That's like the most 50s thing you can play on the guitar. But then the little lick I'm doing, I'm laying down, I'm basically making a D chord here, and I'm making a C chord, but I'm adding the C sharp. So I'm teasing the C chord, and I'm adding the C sharp, which turns this into an A7 chord. And I'm basically on the 4th string, the 3rd string, and the 2nd string. Takes a little bit of skill, especially on acoustic. It's harder on acoustic because the strings are thicker and they're maybe a little higher off the... But basically, just put your 3rd finger down on the 7th fret. Hit. And if you hit that top string, you're not going to kill anybody with that. But the idea is just to hit those 4. And then go to the same 4 strings, same 3 strings with the 1st finger at the 5th fret. So 7th fret, you can even practice that. But then the hardest is going to be hammering on that C sharp. So you got to make sure that you're keeping the bar down when you hammer on like that. You see that? So sometimes you're going to accidentally hit the 5th string or 4th string. Sometimes you're going to hit that 2nd string. So just practice that. Or sometimes you're going to go like that, where you take off your 1st finger or you deaden it. You kind of want to keep these ringing out after you hit that. And that's kind of basically I'm going to say a stereotypical blues riff on the guitar. You can do it in open. A little hard, you kind of got to decide what finger you're going to use. 2nd finger and open, and then hammer on the 3rd string. And then you got to jump back up here for the 6/5 suspension. There's several ways you could approach it. Anyway, you'll notice that I went dynamically up on that riff, because there's probably lyrics that, I got a gasket blues. I got no. I can't sing and play the blues at the same time. So what is that? Well, what that is that's the kind of thing I was saying. You know, it's like, okay, here's a whole chorus we're playing, the singer singing. Well, now the singer's not going to sing a chorus. It's just you. All right, this is a microcosm of that. It's like the singer singing for these 6 beats, and then you got 2 beats of no singer, so you do that. Well, that's where that kind of came from. Rarely would you would have a singer singing over that. It would be so that, you know, you might, if the singer was singing at that moment, you would just keep going with this until there was a gap, you know. I got my timing off. So yeah, there's an example of dynamics, again, to complement and to support a vocal. And that's oftentimes going to be your scenario. When you know again, this is the scenario I'm talking about. If you accompanying someone or you playing and singing at a coffee shop or at a little open mic night or at a bar or something. Gary does I think he does bars and coffee shops, but he also does like old folks homes and stuff like that, where he goes in and he entertains. And it's you have to be intentional about some of this stuff, or you're going to find yourself doing the same groove on every song, same dynamic on every song, and so your set's going to be like this. And we're not even talking about like song selection and organizing the songs. If you'll remember on albums, when we were buying vinyl, they always put the slow song on the inside. It wasn't like it wasn't because they had it wasn't because there was they wanted it to be energy and in a slow song, right? It wasn't that. The reason was dynamically on the outside of the record, you've got better dynamics because the grooves are longer. So you think about how much real estate that needle covers in one revolution at 33 1/3 versus how much real estate that needle covers at the center of the record. It's a much shorter distance. So you couldn't have quite the same dynamic range. So they would put the bigger songs at the outside of the record and then the quieter songs on the inside of the record. That was pretty standard. Some people would be like, oh, I slaved over the order of songs for my record. Yeah, but if you don't take that into consideration, you save like the biggest, boldest song for the last song on the side. It's not going to have that same impact that it would on the edge of the record. So it's just physics. Yep. Yeah, it is a pretty... Yeah, so I'm getting that. And you'll notice, Sam, I didn't necessarily play the fifth. I only played the root there. So in slow motion, it's like this. Okay, so I'm just trying to get almost like this is that note is part of the riff. So I showed you this. That's not the full riff. That's only 3/4 of it. The full riff is okay. So yeah, so I made a mistake not showing that part of it. Yeah. Now you have tons of time to get that power chord back. Okay. Gripping bar chords. You could go with lighter strings. You could lower the action on your guitar. You could do both of those things. It would make those things kind of easier. It might rob you of some tone, okay? But if you're really just trying to get something down, I would go with a lighter set of strings first, obviously, because that's the least destructive. And you could even put a set of electric strings on your acoustic guitar if you want. That would mean an unwound third string. But if you're playing acoustic, if you're playing electric, you can easily raise and lower the action. On acoustic, you're going to be shaving this the saddle, and then once you do it, you can't put it back. So that would be more destructive. Now, if you really want even more of a challenge on that 5/6 suspension, you can add that flat 7. So it's, and that one might be better if you did this, but notice when I'm doing that, I'm actually taking my third finger off. Okay, because I'm not going back to this note. So I don't need to have that there and try to reach that. So that's a big stretch. Oops. If I'm going to do that riff where I'm going to the 7th as well as the 6th, I probably will move to my second finger. But in E, it's easy. And then if I go to open A, G is going to be tough. why that always it makes me think of the, is it the B section of Why Do Birds Suddenly Appear? Since the day that you were born, the day da 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 da. That's like the B section. I don't know why it makes me think of that, but it's just the rhythm of it. Oh, hey, Yudi, you're in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Now, is that near Pittsburgh or is that? Oh, you're Boulder, Colorado. Hey, Scott, good to see you. We got some newbies. I knew if I hung out long enough on live that somebody new would show up. Now we've had a couple new people. Well, it's great to see you. I used to live outside of Pittsburgh in a town called Wallingford. You might not have heard of Wallingford, but if you're from eastern Pennsylvania, you probably know Providence Road. And we actually lived on Providence Road, like for a year and a half. It was pretty short-lived. I've been to Colorado many, many times. It's the B string that buzzes. Oh, already buzzes when you do that. Yeah. Yeah, so it's probably action's already low enough. Oh, because you're not pushing it hard enough. Yeah, it's a little bit. Oh, Todd, new from Hawaii. Wait a minute, what's going on here? How many viewers do we have all of a sudden? Because it's been pretty flat. Oh, we kind of bumped up here. We got 27 or so. Awesome. Well, it's great to see all of you. And let me know if there's something you want to know, because we're pretty much to the. I mean, I can keep talking about dynamics, and we may continue to talk on that. But if you have questions in general about the guitar, or about me personally, no, whatever. I'm trying to figure out. Well, it's my new iMac Studio that just the sound card just shuts off. I don't know why. Near Penn State. Oh, okay, Penn State College, which is that Harrisburg? Is that where Penn State is? Eastern Pennsylvania. Well, Pennsylvania is a gorgeous state, and I really liked Pittsburgh when I was there. My dad was a huge Andrew Wyeth. He really liked Andrew Wyeth, the painter, and he was in Brandywine, which is a gorgeous area. It's really beautiful. I have a friend that Jack Redford that recently moved to Pennsylvania. I think he was originally from Colorado, now that I think about it. And then he was out here. He's still a major orchestrator for movies. He worked for James Horner and David Newman. And he works for like some of the major films. His credits are insane. So he flies back here a lot to do that, but he can do a lot of that work from home. So he moved to be closer to the kids and grandkids. He had some kids. One of his kids moved there. So great guy too. I mean, just such a true friend. But yeah, he sent me pictures of the house. It's just gorgeous out there, really pretty. Good Karma GPS. Hello from Southern California. No worries, I'm in Southern California too. It's gloomy now. It looks like the sun's out. It was gloomy this morning. So yeah, the dynamics is something that you really got to start to put into your playing, because it just makes things. For one thing, it also sets you apart from like software that is emulating guitar. You know, the dynamics on those kind of things never sound very good when you go up and down in volume. And so guitar players fortunately don't have as much competition as bass players and drummers from the computer era. But you know, and maybe that's getting better. I got asked actually by some people at Roland to create to do a session for a sampling library, and somebody else did it. I said I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to. I didn't want to be directly responsible for putting guitar players out of work, so I didn't do it. I paid a lot, but I don't know. I just didn't. I'm like, nah. Now I'm sure there are samples of me out there. People sample me and then turn them into songs. That happens, but. Okay, well, yeah, the one of the main things with the and I wish I could get the drum machine going. I do have a little what is it? Let's see if it's up to date. iMachine Groove Sketchpad. Let me see if I can remember how to use this thing. Let's see. Where are the grooves? Open. All right. So, like, what's this? If I play this. Okay, that's too fast. I don't like that one. Open. I'm just opening default grooves here. Urban, Born Trapper. Third. Okay, well, I'm not digging that. You see that? Shoot, it's too bright. But it looks like a. Oh wait, here. No. Anyway. How would I play with it? Oh. Oh, no, see that note is even, I can't, it's between A and B flat. That's like, I can't use that pattern. Worthless. But it's easy to mute on this. Let's see with this one. Kind of went to the hip hop groove naturally on that, maybe, I don't know. But when you're, I was just trying to find a real simple strum groove, but on that plug or on that app, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But the key to strumming really is just keeping your arm moving. All right. So you realize we have generally in Western music, it's 4/4, 3/4 happens, 6/8 is common, but 4/4 is literally 99% of the music on pop radio, and probably 97% of classic rock songs are going to be in 4/4. So you realize you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and those are going to be downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll notice when you're strumming down that to strum down again, unless you're doing the Pete Townsend thing of to go in full circle, okay, you have to come back up. Those are upstrokes or upbeats. All right. Now, on a non-syncopated pattern, okay, and a non-syncopated pattern would be something like this, or down. Okay. Syncopation is when you have an upstroke without a downstroke before it. So for example, this very, very, very common groove, I call the standard folk groove, has an upstroke kind of by itself. Down, down, up, and I miss the strings and I go up. So I'm doing 2 ups in a row, which means I have to miss the strings on a down. You can practice that. You can practice doing, for example, if I were playing a song with G to C, and I'm using the standard folk groove, I might go to whole note. I'm only hitting 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm missing the string, but I'm keeping my arm moving. I'm not doing this. Now I might not do a full like strum, move my arm that much. I might go just kind of bounce my hand a little bit. But that's kind of the idea. You want to keep your hand moving. Like if you've ever seen those old-fashioned metronomes that would click, 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 your arm is the metronome. You can't stop. So here's doing that groove wrong would be only moving your hand when you're hitting the strings. So that would look like this. And you might see someone in a movie doing that, you know, that doesn't really know how to play a guitar. They're just emulating what they hear. But there's no... And, you know, the thing is, I'm playing 6 hits out of 8. So, I'm always going to end up with a downstroke on 1. But imagine if I were doing a 5-hit strum. That means every other downbeat of 1 would be an upstroke, and that's not going to ever feel right. If the pattern was something like, it's like, that's a 7-hit groove. I'm going 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3. So if I add up the number of hits, it's 7. That's an odd number. That means every other bar is going to start with a different stroke if I'm not strumming it correctly. And that's just never going to have a good feel, and you're going to lose track of where you are. You're not going to ever know where 1 is. So the key is... Okay, good Karma, I got a tip for you. Now I'm holding my pick very loosely right now. All right? And you can see I'm using kind of the tripod method. I got my thumb on one side and I got my 2 fingers on. Everybody holds pick different. Some people hold it like that. I don't know. The tripod thing, that makes it a little bit easier for me to kind of hang on to the pick because I'm holding it pretty loose. Because if I hold it too tight, it'll snag the strings. I want to have it loose because even though the pick is kind of flimsy, I want the pick to move a lot so that when I'm going down, it's angled this way, and when I'm going up, it's angled this way. If it's too rigid and I'm holding it too tight, then I'm going to snag strings like a fish hook. You know how a fish hook is designed to snag. It's going to be kind of like that. No, I'm holding it loose to do it. Now here's my tip for you, Cool Karma. Take a pick and spend the day holding it. I've told this story before. I remember when I was a kid, I was a huge Redskin fan, Washington Redskins fan, and I don't know, people don't realize this, but Vince Lombardi coached the Redskins, and he coached them right before he died. So he won Super Bowls with the Packers, and then he went on to coach the Redskins. And Larry Brown was like my favorite running back, and I read a book about him when I was a kid, and he had a fumbling problem his rookie year. And so, hey, Zach, oh, nice, for sure, we can hang out. Zach will hang out. So what Vince Lombardi made Larry Brown do was carry the football everywhere he went. Had to take it to the shower. He had to take it to bed. He had to take it to lunch, to dinner, to practice, to the grocery store. It didn't matter where he went. He had to carry that stupid football everywhere. And that's exactly what I tell people. If they've got a problem holding on a pick, just have a pick in your hand. And you'd be surprised, you can still text. You can still write. You can still play piano. You can still drive a car. Well, okay. I will say maybe I don't want you to get like in an accident and say, well, Tom told me to hold a pick in his hand. So maybe don't drive and hold a pick in your hand. But you'd be surprised at how how comfortable it begins to feel. And one of the things is too, I will do. This is my Dadgad guitar. So I've got the pick in my hand the whole time I'm doing finger picking. So that way I can kind of go back and forth through. Usually it's for live situations. If I'm in the studio, I'll put the pick down for that, and I'll do. Oh, sippity sip. I change guitars. Yep, that's one of our rules. If I change guitars, you take a sip. Also, if I touch my face, which I'm doing, so everybody take a sip. It's one of our drinking game rules. But yeah, so I would practice just having a pick in your hand. I mean, I would just walk around with a pick in your hand, even, and see if that should help a little bit, give you a little bit more confidence when you have it. And then the tripod kind of method of holding the pick. Like I said, I hold it loose. So maybe if you're holding it too tight, it's ironic. You would think, oh, I won't. I keep dropping it. I'll hold it tighter. But the tighter you hold it, the more likely it's going to snag. And so yeah, I'm holding it really loose. It gives me it gives me more control in some ways. And if I'm using a really heavy pick, then I really don't have a choice. I have to. This is a very heavy pick. It's 3.5 millimeters. And I would use this for bluegrass. Okay, everybody take a sip. But I might use this pick for bluegrass or gypsy jazz or something like that. So yeah, I'm holding it loose though. So yeah, you'd be surprised. I think holding it loose will actually make it less likely to snag on the strings, and then less likely thus to pop out of your hand. A lot of people strum with their fingers. I'm working on a new groove. Was it? I just don't have any thumbnail right now, so it's like quiet. It's kind of a Roomba groove, and I would normally never do it on a steel string. And that's a gulpe. I'm tapping now. I do have a third finger nail. I'm tapping the top of the guitar with my ring, my ring finger. Oh yeah. Yeah. I see him every now and then on here. Is he? I didn't know he was in LA. I don't know where Quail Valley is. Where is Quail Valley? Yeah, I really haven't done much of. Oh, it's in Phelan. Yeah, that's pretty far away. Oh well, no, I know where that is. It's north of here. I guess it's not horribly far. Menifee. Yeah, it's over the hills. It's on the other side of the hills. I know. Let's see. Loyal Order of Moose. They have a lodge up there. It looks kind of pretty. Although I think it's in the desert. Am I wrong here? Let's see. Quail Valley. Okay, let me pull out and see where this is. Sun City. Lake Elsinore. Oh no, it's down there. Oh, yeah, that's pretty far. We were in. We weren't too far from there. We went to. Well, we were. Yeah, it's probably a little less of a far drive than. We were in Idlewild for our anniversary. That was beautiful. Beth really liked that. We had a great house that had a great hammock under the trees. Yeah, for me it's probably a little over 2 hours. Yeah, Lake Elsinore is about 2 hours from where I'm at. I don't know, from Long Beach maybe it's a little closer, but I don't know how you get there from Long Beach because yeah, you'd have to go up to the 91 and then come down the 15. So Californians in our freeways, am I right? That SNL skit was right on. Oh yeah, no, you take the 110 to the 5 to the 105 to the 405, and then you get off at Sepulveda. It's like, oh, that's how you go. Okay, it's like that. Actually, it's like another language. You almost have to learn another language. Yudi, Todd. Oh, what did Todd say? Daily strumming, daily practice. Yes. I think I did a video series of Strum Along with Tom kind of thing, but yeah, I thought that might be a cool thing. Where I'm literally just playing, and I'll zoom in on my hands kind of thing. Maybe have a metronome or a drum machine as my like I said, my preference. Really the chord changes are not important at first because you're trying to get your right hand down. Now eventually you're going to have to definitely work on the chord changes. It's fine to separate those two things. Hey, Vila Ina from Finland. You haven't been live for a while, yes. Because what will happen is you can get the strumming pattern down, but you also need to practice your chord changes. So those kind of things have to come together at some point for you to play a song. There are very few songs. I did a couple videos on five songs with 2 chords. But for the most part, you're going to need to be able to change chords at least once to play a song, and sometimes that can really throw off your right hand because now you got to do something with your left hand. So you can practice that. And what I suggest doing is, if the song is say 2 bars of G and 2 bars of C, and you're having a hard time, if it's going like this. And I'm not making fun of you. I've had hundreds of students, and I remember this very vividly. Okay, what you want to do is see what's happening here is you got 2 things going on. You got the strumming groove. Okay, well notice I have the groove down. So let's work on the changes. All right, so you got the strumming. You're like, okay, my right hand's fine, my left hand is hurting. So and by hurting I mean not succeeding, not doing well. So what I suggest doing is playing 1 strum of this chord and 1 strum of this chord. And at first you're going to go, you're going to have to go 1 finger at a time. And then you change back. Someone said, I saw in a video, like what you do is you kind of make the chord and then kind of squeeze it really tight and kind of like squeeze it just for a second to kind of almost like you're imprinting it into your brain. And so that your hand can kind of, you just kind of give it a good squeeze just for a second. Don't hurt yourself. Just squeeze it when you've got your fingers there, and then your hands will remember it. Also, there's shortcuts. But basically, ultimately, what you want to do, instead of moving 1 finger at a time, you want to move them all together. And what I like to do is I like to say, okay, make the C chord. Now take your hands off, go like this, blah, 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 make a C chord again, and try to land them all at once. Take your hand off, kind of go blah, 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 and then make it again. All right? And then you can even just take the chord and hold it above and take it off, put it on, do it this way, where you're trying to keep that shape. Get in the habit of putting all the strings down or the fingers down at the same time. When you do the 1, 2, 3 thing, I had a student, I've told you about him before, no names. He took lessons from me for years and years of teaching him. He just couldn't ever get to that point where he wasn't going like this. And I told him, I said, maybe guitar's not your thing, like right away. But I was so poor, I think he just wanted to give me he just wanted to pay me for lessons. It was kind of like, I was charging 10 a half hour back then. This is when I first moved to California back in '83. It was like, it was 10 an hour I was charging. And he just, God bless him, I think he really just wanted to help me out. He never practiced. The guy never practiced. And I've had students that never practiced, and that's frustrating. Yeah, this was years of this. It was like, he thought he was doing me a favor, but it was very frustrating on my end as a teacher to not be able to see any progress with a student. You feel like a complete failure. So I don't know. I was getting paid $10 to feel like a complete failure. I think I would have been fine without that money. Who knows where I'd be today if I hadn't felt like a complete failure. But yeah, so those are some tricks there. But so you do want to practice, and you can even do something really, really simple like E to E sus if you want to practice changing chords while strumming. Or just straight eighth notes. But when you're learning strumming patterns, you really want to keep that arm moving. That's going to be your key. It is, people are always wanting silver bullets, right? Or magic tricks. Oh, how do you, is the cage method a magic trick for learning the fretboard? Well, it's a way to learn the fretboard. Is a magic bullet? No, I wouldn't say that. However, this is one of those things that when you finally get it, when you finally get to the point where you're keeping your arm moving, you will always keep your arm moving. It's a switch that switches and never goes back. Unless you stop playing for a year and then you have to kind of relearn it. That's one thing. But it is great. Yeah, have you ever seen The Rain's a great song? The Pentatonic, yep. Chuck Strum. Very good. That's a great song. Oh, good, Karma. Okay. So let's see, what else? Yeah, so also another trick for dynamics is, and this is very commonly utilized in classical music, classical guitar, there is more tension down here by the bridge. Okay, so when you're playing classical guitar and you want to do, you want the melody to be kind of soft, you tend to move your hand up here where the strings are a little squishier. You can't play them I don't think you can play as fast there, but it has a warmer tone to it. You can dig in harder down here and have more volume. Well, the same thing's true with a guitar, with strumming. It's like, now down too far here, you're going to get really thin. But it definitely cuts through. But if I'm wanting to warm up my sound a little bit, especially if I'm on in-ears and I'm going direct, I will definitely get strumming away from the pickup. If it's a piezo pickup under the bridge, a saddle pickup, if you strum hard too close to it, sometimes you can get this honky sound. You can even clip it and make a distortion. So I will actually, people will be like, it's like I'm almost playing like a ukulele. I'll strum up here. It's a more woody and warmer sound. It's a different tone, but it's going to be softer. You won't be able to strum as loud, I don't think, there. Now, the Carter style is that. So that's another trick you can use, and it might be easier standing up than sitting down. I don't know. You know, I'm actually moving the guitar and the hand. I'm trying to use the same dynamics, okay? So I'm going to try to hit equally hard here as here and see if you can notice the change in volume. It's pretty subtle, but it's a much kind of a warmer sound. This is more of a brittle sound up here. Oh, back to Tom's Wildwood Flower lesson, yeah. Did we talk about that? I've forgotten that. I forgot what that was. Is it different than that groove? That's like the most common bluegrass. That's almost like a Johnny Cash kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's definitely something. It's something I kind of stole from from studying classical guitar. When you wanted a melody to kind of be more tender and softer dynamically, more emotional, you do that. And if you really want to dig in and get it kind of like intensity, again, music. Every time I use words like emotional and intensity. Oh, Gary, I was talking about you earlier. But don't rewind. You don't want to hear it. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't seen you in a while, so the every time I use those kind of that terminology, it reminds me that music is manipulation, and I'm not. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying I'm not saying music is evil for manipulating people. No, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Tone. The sound of a flute versus the sound of a cello versus the sound of an electric guitar through a Marshall amp, playing the exact same note, all have different emotions attached to them. Sometimes it's a learned emotion, but sometimes it's just a visceral reaction that your body has. The first time I ever played through a Marshall full stack at really loud volume, and I stood in front of it and with like, what did Ricky have? It might have been an SG. I think he had an SG. I hit that E chord. It didn't matter what I hit on it. It hit so hard right here, almost knocked my breath out, and literally almost made my hair move. I mean, you could literally feel it. And it was just an E chord. I could play an E chord on a piano, a concert grand piano, and hit it really hard, and it would have have this amazing, big, giant sound, especially if I held down the sustain pedal and all the notes were sympathetically vibrating. It would be this giant sound. Yeah, that would be a very similar, would be a same chord, but a totally different emotion. So sonically, you can have a different emotion, let alone groove or pitch melodies. If I were to play, you can do this. You can just mess around with it on your own. But if I play an E chord and I play a certain note on top, like an E6, that has a certain sound to it, right? If I play E7, that has a certain sound. Or I play sharp 5, it's the same basic chord except one note's changed. Play E major 7, totally different. If I just play an E5, if I play an E triad, if I play E minor, if I play an E minor with a ninth on top, if I play with a third on top, if I play with a fourth on top, if I play with say the flat 5 on top, it's going to have a different sound. That's diminished actually, technically, in diminished chord. If I play with a sharp 5 or a 6, it's completely designed to evoke an emotion. And for soundtrack, it's obvious, right? If I play an E chord and I go to that sharp 4, know, it creates this emotion maybe of you know, kind of a sad maudlin sound or going somewhere. Right? But that's also true for melodies you choose. The note you choose to sing over a song, and that could be, you know, if I play a G chord and I'm singing a C, who wants to go down to B? Sing it over the same note. Over a D. So the C over the C is going to sound the most normal over all those chords. There's no C in a G chord. There's no C in an E minor chord. There's no C in a D major chord. By singing that C, I made this a G sus. I made this an E with a flat 6. I made this a D7 when I sang the C. But when I sang the C over a C chord, it was just the C. But then when I went down to the B, I ended up with this rub of that B natural, that major 7th. Okay, so it's amazing how much how much tension you can create and release, satisfaction, dissatisfaction. You know, this might be standing in line to return an item at Macy's, right? And then this is the sound of them giving you all your money back. So, I don't know. If I were to score that scene. Oh yes, here's your money back. Ah. Right? So, and dynamics do the same thing as pitches. It's all about, and so that's what I'm saying. It's like, so if I were to play that like that, kind of has a different, or it's a different feel than if I were to do it. So yeah, so it's, and you start blending all those things in. So it's a funny analogy. I'm a funny guy. Oh, gotta update the list. Oh yeah, I know that. Sorry, Bruce, you don't have to. Your mom and dad just celebrated their 70th anniversary. That's crazy, Gary. God bless you. Oh, your clear out parents' house, yeah. Get ready for sale. They're gonna sell the house. Are they moving into a nursing home, or are they moving in with you? But 70 years, wow, that's crazy. See, Beth and I will be, 80, 95 or something when we're celebrating our 70th. We just celebrated our 35th. So weird. I don't know. I mean, pardon me. I hope I'm still a contributing human being at that age. My goal is to be. It's part of the reason I think cold plunging will help me live longer. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you, when I first get in that water at night, it's like, oh man. I mean, I can feel it in the back of my neck, the tension. Well, now I know Gary and Sam and well, even Bruce, when you lived in Vermont, I remember to this. In fact, it really reminds me of that feeling of when I was, in high school and college. When I was driving, and you go out to your car, and it's like 0 outside, and I was parked in the driveway, and I have to get the ice off my windshield or the snow off my car, get in the car, and you start that car up, and boy, sometimes it doesn't want to start, but you start it up. Oh, I didn't pin it, did I? All right, you're right. Sorry, let me do that. All those new people, and they didn't see the Discord link. I'm just going to copy and paste and do it again. I put it in, but I didn't pin it. All right, should be pinned. Thank you. There we go. All right. But yeah, that feeling of just like, oh, your jaw would just get so tense because you're clenching your teeth because you're so cold. Hey, Christopher, what's going on? Um, yeah, that's kind of how it feels when you're in that cold water, But it's supposed to be really good for circulation. My grandmother had arthritis. I don't want to get it, and it's supposed to be good for inflammation. So I'm not sensitive. I'm really hypersensitive about my fingers. Like if something's going on weird with my fingers, I can feel it because I use them every day to a very precise, sometimes very precise. I got a new mandolin, by the way. So it's a lure. It wasn't expensive or anything, but it's a totally different sound than my mandolin. I'd love to upgrade and get a really nice mandolin. I should probably put. Oh, Sam, this. No, this is a new one. So yeah, this is a lure. It was only $400 a guitar center. But like I said, when you're doing something that's really minuscule like a mandolin, it's a lot smaller, so you're really sensitive to any changes in your fingers. The problem is I usually use a strap. I'm holding it up with my hand, which is never a good thing to do. I'm just not. Yeah, I've got to hold it either with my right hand or my left hand. I definitely have to use a strap with it. So I'm gonna have to order a strap that's specifically. It doesn't even have a strap thing here. In fact, I wonder if Guitar Center took that out so that somebody wouldn't steal it. I should probably go over there and see. Yeah. I'll ask. I'll go. I don't know if I'll go over today, but. You got to learn all the pentatonics in different keys. Learn a D major pentatonic and a D minor pentatonic, the G major pentatonic, the G minor pentatonic. Yeah, this is not to be confused with that. They took the name from that. Yeah, a typical Gibson lure is going to cost you 6 figures. But it has a more choked sound, much more bluegrassy sound than my other mandolin. I'm pretty impressed with the workmanship on this. It's a solid top. I don't know if the back is solid. It's made in China, but love how fast you can play triads though. That's so hard on guitar, but it's like a pentatonic lick on now pentatonic lick's like a basic rock and roll pentatonic lick. See, there's a G. It's harder. So certain licks are going to be harder on mandolin than guitar, but this is tuned like a violin, so it's G, D, A, E, or a guitar up the bottom 4 strings of a guitar upside down. That's why a G chord is this. So on guitar, a G chord is this, but on mandolin, it's this. C chord is that. So if you think about a C chord, and you think about your second and third finger on a C chord, that's kind of what this is, upside down. Anyway, yeah. So I just got this a couple days ago. Yeah, it'll do. You know, at some point I'd love to get a really nice mandolin. There's not many stores in LA that sell really good acoustic instruments like that. I mean, I could probably go to Guitar Center to the vintage room, and, but I wouldn't mind getting like a new Gibson mandolin if you know play them. But I don't do enough mandolin playing to justify it. So it just, of my friend Joe DeBlasi, in fact, I think, did he talk about that in our video? He had just gotten a new mandolin and really loved it. Will it be ready in 100 years? Bruce, that's the question. Oh! Bruce is making me a cigar box guitar. I think we got too we got too specific in things, so he's like, too many special orders on it. All right, let's see. Making sure my wife is not texting me about something. No. All right. No. So far, so good. Because she's taking the car. Hopefully it's not the head gasket. Also, hopefully it's not the radiator. That's if it needs a new radiator, like if the leak is inside the radiator somewhere, that could be problematic. So, again, I don't know. Is it worth putting $2,000-3,000 into a car to keep it running for another year? I don't know. Will it keep it running for another year? Oh, maybe Santa will bring you a mandolin. That would be great. Yeah, you should get a mandolin. I mean, you know, like I said, that one was only $400, and that was brand new. It's lower. It didn't come with a case. I got to order a case for it because I will be taking it out. I do need to ask them if they had the strap pin, but I can order a strap pin. Let's see. Mandolin. Yeah, Waverly mandolin end pin from Stumac. Yeah, $10. You know, so I don't know. I'd probably rather, here's one. Yeah, here's an ebony one, would look kind of good on that. I'd probably just order something like that, and then get a strap. I probably, you know, I might get one of those really thin straps. That might be the cool way to go, a thin leather strap or something. Anyway, just went to the Guitar Center in my neighborhood. Wow, we got so many people watching. Hey, how's it going? So any other questions? Oh, you want to see, did you see the back? Sorry. Yeah, it's tuned in fifths. The back looks like the front. I mean, you can see a little bit of grain through it. I mean, it's a matte finish, which I actually like. I like the feel of a matte finish. Sometimes I feel like maybe a matte finish is, I could be wrong here, is a little bit less choking, you know, than a lot of coats of shellac on the wood. I could be completely wrong on that, but sometimes it just feels like, you know, it's a little bit brighter when it doesn't have a ton of shellac on it or a ton of finish on it. There's Here's a G7. Here's a yeah, G7, C, D7, C7. Your Highlander has 220. Yeah, you know our Honda Civic and our it had 250 when we finally got rid of it, and our Volvo wagon had 250 when we finally got rid of it. Beth's car only has 150,000 miles on it. It's like kind of frustrating. You know, you think with a Volvo you're gonna get 200 to 300,000 out of them, but also at the same time, you know, she's driving to work every day, so you don't want to be causing a, you know, you don't want her to be stranded. Let's see. Yeah, so I'll probably just go to, where would I do to get the, I just get it, like, maybe they'll have them at, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Those stupid check engine lights come in all the time. I've got a thing that I can test, and it'll tell me what the issue is and reset the check engine light. Check engine lights go on for a lot of. There's so many sensors now that when a sensor goes bad, it's just the sensor is something that's going to tell you of a problem, so you need to get it fixed. But at the same time, it's like you constantly have issues with. So okay, yeah, no worries, Peroni. I'm gonna bounce here in a minute too. I've been going for almost an hour. Oh, it's been an exact. Let's see, how long has it been? Where does it say? Oh, over here. I thought it said somewhere. Oh, here it is. Yeah, 1 hour and 58. Yeah, so pretty good. Almost 2 hours. So yeah, I don't want to talk about head gaskets. So let's just hope it's some little simple little valve that he missed or a hose or whatever. I know he's going to try to fix it the best way, cheapest way he can. Not like with the cheapest parts, but he's not going to. That's the thing I love about this mechanic, and any mechanic that doesn't oversell and say, well, you know, now that we got the engine out, we should probably replace these 17 things. And it's like, really? I kind of hate that kind of stuff. It's like this guy will do the job that's needed and really won't do any more because he's got tons of work because he's so honest. So, yeah, no, there are no gauges in the Volvo. Not really. You're right. Older cars have the gauges. Yeah, the gauges come in handy. You're right. And people can add gauges too, right? But you weren't allowed to. Yeah, yeah, I know. And I think Emma's gotten pretty good at it. You know, I don't know that Jack was very good at that. My son Jack, I don't think he was paying attention to maintenance. A car was just like a hammer to him for school. Now that he's bought his own, I guarantee you he's paying much more closely with it. It's always you tend to take care of things more that you tend to pay for. So Beth has never had a problem with. It's like she's always almost more overcautious, and she knows how we see because we have an oil leak in the car, and it's one of those things that's standard with the Volvo, and I got mine fixed under warranty back when I bought mine, but hers was. They did the test on it, and they said, "Oh, it passed the test," and I don't believe them. Volvo did the test because they didn't want to do the repair. So they didn't do the repair, and of course her car is losing oil because it's an O-ring issue. So ultimately she's slowly but surely scoring the cylinders or burning the cylinders over time. But it passes smog. There's no smoke. There's no white smoke. There's no black smoke coming out of the car. It's not like that. It's a very subtle, slow. But she knows how to change oil and add fluids in the car. She so cracks me up. She's like having an old car will almost invariably teach you how to be a mechanic. Being a poor guitar player will teach you how to be a guitar tech. And so I learned how to fix a few things on guitars because I was like, yeah, if I take it to Norick, it's going to be $80. I'll do it myself. So that was, those are the benefits of being poor. You kind of fix it yourself. Have a great day, Yudi. Thank you so much for joining us. Jack, have a great week as well. I didn't see Paul Meyer. He must not have been lurking. But a pretty good turnout considering I missed a week. I apologize for that, but we're back on track. I should be here next Monday. I think. I may have a session, but I may be able to show up late to it. I think we're supposed to be done Sunday, so I think I'm recording Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week on something, but just kind of in my free time at the session. I'm kind of just being added here and there, so it's not critical. And I'm doing a sideline on Thursday for the TV show Hacks, and that's sidelining is when you pretend to play on play. So I'm gonna apparently I'm in the Tonight Show band, so it's just it's kind of like you're not really playing. It's kind of like being it's slightly higher than an extra in a TV show. But it does pay residuals, so that's why I do them, because the day may only pay a few $100s, but then over time it can pay a few $1,000s if there's residuals on it. Now it's an HBO show, so I'm not sure what the residuals are like on HBO. I'm not hopeful, but you never know. You are welcome, Gary. Oh, and we were talking about, I was just talking about playing live, and part of the reason why you want to have some dynamics in your strumming patterns is just so that all your songs don't have the same dynamic all the way through. That's what we were talking about. Todd, I'm glad you like it. We do tend to get off track. Usually, I start the lesson about 15 minutes in and go for about an hour, and then after that, it's just free form. So we're just kind of hanging out. It's just a bunch of friends hanging out, and with only one of them talking. Just pretty much how it goes whenever I hang out with anybody. I'm always the one doing all the talking. So sometimes people like that. Sometimes people have me include me in their gatherings so that somebody's going to be talking. So, because that's not always a given. So, yep. Yep, we're all sipping. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you in a week. Yeah, Christmas doesn't fall on a Monday or anything like this, so I think we'll be good. So I'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.